Dear guests, dear partners, dear colleagues, welcome to the European Economic and Social Committee. It is an honor as a member of the committee to open today's CulturalDeTour event and to welcome you to this house, which is your house as the house of the European civil society. I apologize for not being able to be there in person with you today, as other obligations obliged me to leave the ESC this morning. I am here today as a member of the committee and as a member specifically of Group 1, the Employers Group, currently rapporteur for the own initiative opinion on tourism sustainability as a driver for long-term competitiveness. As a member of the ESC, I am representing COE, the Spanish Confederation of Business and Industries, the social partner that reunites all sectors of the Spanish economy, including tourism. We have a long-standing Council for Tourism that represents the entire value chain of tourism. Also, we have a Committee for Culture and Sports, reuniting the value chain of cultural industries in Spain. The two sectors, or the two economic systems, are, as you all know well, extremely linked, and tourism as such is an extremely relevant part of the Spanish and entire European economy. This is why it is a top priority for us to ensure that tourism is high in the agenda of the European institution, especially ahead of the new cycle. And this is why I propose that the ESC worked on the topic through the mentioned opinion, which we are debating this autumn in the ESC, and we are expected to vote in the plenary session of January 2025. The origin of this initiative was to follow up on the Palma Declaration, which tourism minister from the 27 member states adopted in Palma de Mallorca on the 31st of October 2023 during the Spanish presidency of the Council. The primary objective of the Palma Declaration is to propel the tourism industry towards a new sustainable model that prioritizes environmental friendliness, digital integration, inclusivity, and resilience, and that equips the sector to confront future challenges. In the ESC opinion, we are working to go one step further, initiating the debate on regenerative tourism policies at EU level. All this is at the heart of the CulturalDeTour project, which intends to use all innovative ideas propelled by the design and integration of sustainability to enhance collaboration and the entrepreneurial spirit in the cultural tourism sector, creating a sound basis for innovation through sectors and across member states. This is precisely one of the factors that I highlight in the opinion I am working on: the need to enhance new, robust governance models in order to help businesses to navigate the twin transitions. These governance models shall include national, regional, local governments, social partners, civil society organizations, research centers, and other actors. This project is therefore extremely useful to these purposes, and I hope that the discussions that you will have today in our committee will enrich such purposes. I will be happy to receive feedback on your conclusions today to enrich the work and the discussions around this opinion and the work ahead in this new European institutional cycle that we are starting, with high hopes for the impulse of tourism as a strategic sector for European competitiveness. I wish you a successful meeting today and enriching discussions. And again, thank you very much for counting on the ESC for your work today.
Starting again, okay. Welcome back. And now, after this break, please take your seats. We will start this hybrid webinar around the cultural tourism. CulturalDeTour is boosting cultural tourism growth through European Union funds. Okay, we are here in the Economic and Social Committee in Brussels, in the heart of Brussels. And first, again, I would like to to express our condolence to the people in my region, in my city, in Valencia, that are suffering for the terrible drama of the floods last week. And from a practical way, I would like to remind that thanks one startup from Valencia, N3, a very performant company that we are accelerating, we will have simultaneous interpretation available for this event, both online and on-site. You can scan the QR code in the on-site room, and it will appear automatically on your screens if you are joining us online. This event will finish in 1 hour, more or less, and aims to share knowledge, spread best practice, and promote innovation in the tourism sector, focusing on boosting cultural tourism growth through European funds. It also seeks to create synergies with other European projects and explore new funding opportunities. CulturalDeTour is a European project funded by the Creative Europe program. It's a small-scale program of 200,000 euros. Promotes design-driven innovation and sustainability to foster collaboration and entrepreneurship in the cultural tourism sector. And one of our objectives today, understanding that Creative Europe is now open, why not to promote a big-scale project of around 1 million euros. Why not? You have explained that in Cantabria is quite important, the cultural tourism. And allow me to explain also that today, all this event that we have had this morning with food tourism, we are also, this is an official event recognized for the 22nd European Week of Regions and Cities. And also is an official event of the European Small and Medium Enterprise Week event of the European Commission. Because we tried, both events are focused in the role of the small and medium enterprises and the startups. Okay. Now I'm honored to be a speaker and presenting the keynote about innovation in cultural tourism with the Europe project and funding ecosystem. And here I hope that the people online has access to this PowerPoint. That, of course, if someone wants after the event, we can send to you. And all these events will be available in our YouTube channel for the next week. Will be available. Okay. About Creative Europe, we are talking of more than 2,440 million euros, and of course, what's the link with? It's not only tourism, of course. It's also to support all what is music and creativeness and networks. But in this field, this morning we were talking about tourism linked to natural heritage, linked to culture, museums, film festivals, etc. Then we are in the right time of doing that. Here is not the deadline, but we will include in the PowerPoint. But now we are in the open call. There are two calls available. One is the small-scale projects up to 200,000 euros, and the big-scale projects up to 1 million euros. In the CulturalDeTour, our CulturalDeTour project is an ongoing project. We have what we are doing is accelerating small companies in their internationalization and in their innovation. Okay, we have also as a quite interesting entity, the European Institute of Technology, Cultural Creativity. We are now in the module of culture, and in the following weeks, we will announce good news. We are now signing the contracts with the AT, and apparently we have been selected for designing an accelerator about creativity and fashion and style, and another in the field of audiovisual and games. And we will have 1 year to around 700,000 euros to implement and to understand it. It will be that Innovation Treat project. It's managed by Adrián Noeda, and there is a lot of slot in how to do more sustainable and creativity the fashion, the textile, but also how to recycle. And the other concept we have to develop is how to create regional incubators, accelerators around video games. And again, video games means a lot of creativity, digital creativity, and it has been demonstrated that is another important source of creating new jobs. About European or about Horizon Europe, we are in the right time now in Brussels. I would like to highlight the importance that finally European Commission has. We have a new commissioner, Greek one, that has the name of his responsibility is sustainable transport and tourism, what was not the case in the past. And we have to understand that in the past they were just for civil servants for tourism. Understanding the importance in terms of GDP for all over Europe. Okay, we are very happy, and we hope that in this new commission, tourism will have the place that corresponds. Okay, about Horizon Europe, there are it's in the cluster 2, culture, creativity, and inclusive society, and again, it's an interesting tool, especially for the non-profit organization and for the public organizations that can be covered their expenses up to 100%. But allow me to talk about Interreg. We have the Interreg Europe program. Interreg, there are 27 different secretariats of Interreg, and okay, of course it means you have to look for carefully every program and every priority. Let's say we have Interreg Europe, of course. We have the Interreg Nesmet. Interreg Nesmet means with the neighbors countries. Imagine the culture of Egypt. Imagine all what we can do with Turkey or Algeria. Okay, I will be a little bit fast. Okay, we have the Interreg Euromed project. The Interreg Euromed project is for the Mediterranean, Mediterranean into Europe. Okay. And okay, as we can see, Smarter Mediterranean, all what is digitalization could work. But I would like to focus in the Interreg Atlantic. Will be open up to 31st May. Now is open the Interreg POCTEP. We have a nice project approved and executed in Castilla León with Portugal, NAPOCTEP, about the the architectonic and the culture around Napoleon. Okay, that's about Interreg POCTEP. Okay, normally these projects up to 1.5 million, and we are talking of up to 75% per project. Again, it's not included more or less the deadline, but we think it will be for the month of March. And okay, here is not included what is the Interreg Atlantic, that the deadline will be on the 15th, I think around 15 in the middle of January. Okay, and of course Interreg Northwest, the Interreg West Europe, my colleague Davide will explain to you. And okay, again, for the people that wants to have the subtitle in other language or the translation in other language, please scan the QR code. Thank you very much. And now, Davide, you have the floor, of course.
Hello, everyone. I'm Davide. Thank you for inviting me to talk on this stage and in this event. I'll talk you about the Interreg Northwest Europe program. It is an opportunity to implement sustainable tourism implementation. I'll talk firstly about the program, in a general overview, then about our project idea, Napoleon Routes, then the case of good practices that we had already implemented, NAPOCTEP, between Spain and Portugal. And finally, I'll end with telling you the deadline, the amount of some money dedicated to this program. Interreg Northwest Europe is a European territorial cooperation program, also called Interreg. As Mr. Revuelta was saying, we have a lot of Interreg programs in Europe, and every one of them includes different regions of the European Union. In this case, this program includes Belgium, Ireland, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and parts of France and Germany. The program aims to support a balanced development and make all Northwest Europe regions more resilient, contributing to an improved quality of life and well-being for citizens. Of course, Northwest Europe, we all know that is at the forefront of industrialization and economic development in the European Union, but this came at a cost for environment, for people, that produced territorial inequalities. This is the map of the cooperation program. As I said, Germany and France only participate with some regions. Now I'll talk you about the priorities of the program. They are 5. The first one is the climate and environment priority. The first specific objective of it is to promote climate change adaptation and disaster risk prevention. As we can see, it will be a constant in our future. And the second specific objective is to enhance nature protection and biodiversity. Second priority is energy transition. The program wants to promote energy efficiency, reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And the second specific objective is to contribute to increase the capacity of Northwest Europe communities to exploit their potential to improve renewable energy production. The third priority is circular economy. As we can see, there are a lot of environmental priorities. It is important for the program and for the European Union in general. So the circular economy priority wants to promote the transition to a resource-efficient economy. The fourth priority is to promote innovation and resilience. Some part of the budget is dedicated to finance this type of projects. So research and innovation and advanced technologies. The fifth and last priority is inclusive society. We have three specific objectives here. The first one is to enhance the effectiveness and inclusiveness of labor markets. Second one is to ensure equal access to healthcare and fostering resilience of health system. for every field of age, every age. The third specific objective is to enhance the role of culture and sustainable tourism in economic development, social inclusion, and social innovation. It is highlighted because it aligns with the goal of this event. So now I'll talk about Napoleon routes, a project idea that we want to implement in this fifth call of Interreg Northwest Europe. The official title is Napoleon Routes for the Development of Heritage, Culture and Smart Tourism. We identified 3 challenges in Northwest Europe territory. The first one is economic inequality between cities and hinterlands, and the lack of job opportunities and quality in peripheral areas. Of course, we are still talking about Northwest Europe, so they are flourishing, they are countries that has flourishing economy, but still there is inequality between the city and the hinterlands. And finally, the third challenge is mass tourism, mainly concentrated in the capital cities and instead of rural areas, for example. The main objective of the project would be to create a series of heritage, cultural and touristic routes or itineraries related to the Napoleonic invasions in Northwest Europe that articulate the heritage, landscape, cultural, economic and social fabric in the cross-border cooperation era. We all know that, for example, in Belgium, we had the Battle of Waterloo that ended the Napoleonic Wars. So why not include a city like Waterloo in a project of such type? The impact and results expected by the project are to promote an inclusive and sustainable transnational tourist product related to Napoleon heritage, to revitalize the economy, still considering the thing that I said earlier, that we are still talking about Northwest Europe, but trying to balance the cities and the hinterlands. Then last result we hope to obtain is to obtain the stamp of Destination Napoleon provided by the Cultural Out of the Council of Europe. Later we'll see this logo because it was attributed to our project NAPOCTEP. The partners we are searching for are, in this order, are public entities like national, regional and local administration, NGOs and non-profit organizations, university research centers, and private companies or business clusters. They are all entities that the program Interreg Northwest Europe includes. So it is a varied, the application are open to different type of entities. Now I'll talk you about the good practices of NAPOCTEP. Here you can see the logo that I was talking before. NAPOCTEP was a project from the Interreg POCTEP program between Spain and Portugal. It was implemented from 2019 to 2021. It consisted in Napoleonic routes in area that includes the central region of Portugal and the western Castilian-Leonese provinces. There were 7 different themed tourist routes, all of them related with Napoleon and his conquers battles in the area of Spain and Portugal. You can see the website, it is still active, and you'll have a more detailed idea of the project. It was an attractive tourist product that generated economic activity and employment. Of course, always taking into consideration the sustainable environmental sustainable practices. And it was co-financed by the European Commission with a total of 711,000 euros, as I said, within the Interreg POCTEP program. And the partnership was composed of 8 entities. Here you can see some photos. As I said, you can visit the website and you'll see more photos and more information. Now I'll finish with the Interreg and Northwest Europe Call 5 that is now open. It is open until the 16th of January of 2025. And it's important to note that it is a 2-step process. So in order for your project to be approved, you have to pass two steps. So the first one is to present the project in a more general way, and the second one is to give a more detailed description of the project. During this call, 287 million euros of the European Regional Development Fund will be allocated. It means that every project will be around 2 million euros. 2 million euros. And important also is to note that the 60% will be co-funded, so the entities will have also to fund the project and the activities. Important also the partnership requirement, at least 3 partners from 3 different countries, including 2 from Northwest Europe. It is true that in the project can be included also entities from other countries, but it is difficult for the project to be approved. Like you have to give them to the committee a very good reason why an entity from another country is there in the consortium. The duration is not really specified, but all projects must be completed by June 30 of 2029. Another important requirement is that the lead partner must be located in Northwest Europe and has to be a public or private non-profit organization. Here you can find a provisional calendar of the 5th call. So important to remember that if you want to participate, you'll have to do that before the 16th of January. Also important to not do that in the last moment, because the online platform can cause some problem. Here you have my email, my contact details, so feel free if you found that interesting or you want to know more or you are interested in the dissemination of the project, you can contact me.
Thank you. Yes, and for that project or for other projects, if there is other projects, not only in the field of culture but in sustainability, we can contribute as Belgian Foundation in the field, not only in communication and dissemination, but perhaps in implementing some open innovation tools as Startup Europe Awards or everything what is linked to entrepreneurship. And also we love the projects that fight against legal barriers. Anyway, we are going to see one case study from Charlotte Michi, PMO Director at Fondazione Icons. It's one of the best practice from the TESTUR project. The floor is yours. E grazie mille. Avanti. We don't listen you. Perhaps you are in silent? No? Okay. We don't listen you. Again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, so I put down my headphones. Are you sharing my presentation?
Yes. Done.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you for this invitation. Because the Texture project just ended, we have produced a lot of material, so this is just a very good occasion to share it. And my name is Charlotte Michi. I'm PMO Director at Fondazione Icons. Icons is a foundation specialized in dissemination, business, and social innovation for European project. And in this specific project, my team has been leading the communication dissemination activities and the upscaling. Today, I will share some of the resources that we have developed for the project and the best practices that we have collected from the implementation of the project. So next slide, please. So let me share you some basic information about Texture. Texture is a European funded project from the Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. The project lasted for 45 years. It started the 1st January 2021, so in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and just ended now in September. We had a 9 months extension of the project And the objective of Texture was to create and test sustainable cultural tourism strategies for rural and deprived areas in Europe and beyond. The project involved 17 partners from 13 countries. So I was mentioned that we tested a co-creation methodology for sustainable cultural tourism strategies. Where did we do that? We did that in 8 pilots, okay? Our 8 pilots had very different characteristics among each other. For example, we had a prehistoric rock art site between Spain and Portugal, so a very remote area. We had industrial heritage sites in Italy, so number 1 in Estonia, number 2 in Poland, number 6. We had several cross-border pilots like the Ungebundenland region, who is spreading among Germany, Czech Republic, and Poland. We also had a pilot in Ukraine, the final part of the Via Regia, so one of the oldest routes that crosses Europe from east to west. And we also had a pilot in Lebanon. So those pilots were actually pretty critical for the project, due, of course, to the outbreak of the war, the economic crisis in Lebanon. So this is one of the reasons why we needed some more time to implement the project. And let me explain you very briefly the methodology that we have implemented for this project. So in the next slide, you can see that the methodology is made by 7 steps. 7 steps that all our pilots followed throughout the whole duration of the project. The first step starts at the very beginning of the project and is the establishment of a community of stakeholders. Of course, a solid community of stakeholders will help you to meet strategic needs, improve transparency, and build trust and obtain support in the long term from your stakeholders. This is the first step, but this step lasts for the whole duration, let's say, of your project, because it's very important to keep your stakeholders engaged. Then we had a series of steps that included workshops. So the second step, we gave our pilots 2 weeks to bring it forward, was to identify local strengths and heritage resources. So they organized a workshop to set out a shared vision among the participants, okay, who identified heritage and social resources in their territory. So the milestone of this step was a map, so really a geographical map with the point of interest, the strengths, and the heritage resources present on the territory. The third step also lasted 2 weeks, and the aim was to create a selection of actions, okay, to be implemented within the pilots. Each pilot selected 3 actions, okay. Then the fourth step was to design a sustainable business model. In Texture, we developed a sustainable business model canvas that made it possible to create a coherent and realistic action plan to be adapted to the specific needs of the territory. So the milestone of this step was a feasible business plan for each of the actions that were selected by the pilots. The fifth step was to, let's say, follow up and self-evaluate the feasibility of the business plan and of the action. So the pilots set feasible and relevant targets and key performance indicators to be achieved throughout the proposed actions. And then all this, let's say, step brought to the sixth one, which is an established final action plan. In this plan, you have identification of time estimation, budget, and responsibilities. And last but not least, the implementation. Of course, the implementation can last as long as, let's say, is defined within the action plan. So our recommendation was to start as soon as possible the implementation. So for this presentation, I selected some of the best practices that we collected from our project partners, from the pilots, and are collected all in a best practice book that we have published on the Texture web that you can find in the resource section of the Texture website. So the first one is actually a pretty easy best practice if you follow the methodology. So it's important to have and set up a good project plan. So objectives need to be clear roles and responsibilities need to be assigned to all the persons involved in the project. And having someone with experience with project management will be a plus, and that can make the difference, okay? We have seen that on how the methodology was applied from the different pilots. And of course, it's also important to do a risk assessment and to try to design future scenarios. Things didn't go as originally planned in some of our pilots, and not only the ones that were impacted by, let's say, a war. So an early identification of risks and putting in place mitigation measures is very important. And of course, as already mentioned, the establishment of realistic KPIs and keeping track of the progress of the activities is also very important. The second best practice that I selected is about ensure economic resources. So in the next slide, you can see that it's important to have a solid business plan to make sure that you have adequate economic resources. Otherwise, even the best solutions will remain abstract ideas. So consider EU schemes, EU funding, but not only. Also find private investors that can support your project, your idea, and keep funders engaged and make sure that the use of funds is transparent, okay? This will increase your project reputation. Texture methodology provides a business model canvas, as already mentioned, and it was designed to be easy to use and flexible to adapt to the different socioeconomic conditions of our pilot sites. So this is another resource that you can find on our website. And now I want to give you also a couple of examples of best practices that apply to projects in areas that have a specific characteristic. Let's go to the next slide. For example, best practice strategies for border regions. Okay, in Texture, as you have seen from our map, we had a lot of pilots in border regions or that were, let's say, transnational pilots, like the archaeological site between Spain and Portugal, or the Ungebindeland region, which spreads among three nations. So border areas have immense potential and richness in terms of heritage and tradition, but bring the extra challenge of languages, of course, policies, and cultural differences. So our recommendation is to consider from the very beginning the rules and regulations of each countries. Make sure that you have translators, so that you have a budget for translate resources, to have someone, a professional translator participating in workshop. Identify existing institution and cross-border activities, and involve stakeholders from each country from the very beginning, because this will promote dialogue and multiculturalism. A thing that worked very well, for example, is in Ungebindeland, was to highlight cross-border connecting elements that citizens can identify with. In this case, in Ungebindeland, we have those very characteristic Ungebinde houses, so historic half-timbered houses typical of the area, in which the people and the organization working in this area identified in. And then I have another best practice about digitization and accessibility. So in Texture, next slide, please, we had a pilot in Cyprus in this it was a very quasi-abandoned village in the middle of the mountains, so not really easy to access and to reach. And in this case, the whole village was digitized. So, of course, digital technologies allow more visitors to have access to this heritage. So they were able to reach a broader spectrum of people. But of course, in the team digitizing the village, there were professionals specialized with specific digital skills that allowed them to do this. And another recommendation that came from this pilot was to place QR codes strategically to create paths and narratives that can be easy to follow, to collect feedback from users to improve your offer, And of course, it's particularly important to communicate and advertise for people to find your digital resources. Actually, I could go on for more than an hour sharing the best practices that we have in this project. I had prepared another one, but I'm afraid that I am running out of time. So I think I will have to skip the best practice 10. But if you can go to the next two slides, so skip the next one and go to the next one. I want to share with you the link of the project website, which is www.textureproject.eu. In the resource section, you can find the best practice book, the co-development cultural tourism 7-step guideline, Texture, business model canvas, and all the public deliverables. Some of the deliverables are still under revision by the EU Commission, so we will update it in time as soon as we have, let's say, the green light from our coordinator. And at this QR code, you can download the best practice book. So thank you for your attention, and thank again to the CulturalDeTour project for inviting Texture. And if you have any questions or want to get in touch, you have my email here in this slide.
Thank you, Charlotte. We will cooperate for sure in the future in new consortia. And now we are going to start the questions and answers from the physical audience and the online audience. Especially, I'm also interested in some of our of the previous speakers that are here, like Fran Bostel or Tim Firesfartur or Mr. Emiliano de Ferrari. But okay, I don't know if there is any question online, Eduardo, or here in the meeting room. No questions? One, yes.
Yes, if I may, just to let you know that the future commissioner for tourism, Mr. Chiche Costas, who has been previously president of the Committee of the Regions, in his hearing of this week, told something like there are so many programs today to fund tourism that it is a mess for many companies and many stakeholders, and that he will work very closely to the next commissioner for the budget in order to have a single program. So it is a good occasion to make some lobby from the organizations that are very active in the tourism sector to have a concrete program for tourism. And the other thing is that the Atlantic area Interreg program is going also to open a call at the end of November. I think there will be the launch event in Bordeaux, the 21st of November. And Cantabria is building up a project that will be led by Nouvelle Aquitaine in order to tackle the problem of how to control flux of tourists. So it is an interesting project, and maybe we can have some kind of collaboration. I will let you know.
Thank you very much, Inma. Some other questions or thoughts? Critics? I think Gemma wanted to say something. No? Okay. If there is not any more questions, I don't know if the member of the, because okay, you know, it's not the in these dates is the hearings into the European Parliament, and it's because of that perhaps the member of the European Commission is not yet. Then to give her some minutes, if there is not more questions, perhaps, Edu, I would like to share some of the screens of my previous PowerPoint that I was not able to share, to try to inspire to you. I think the people wants to go to have lunch. Ah, yes, of course. Of course.
On m'entend là, ça va? Oui, oui. Oui, bonjour. Vous m'excusez, je m'exprime en français comme l'a fait notre collègue espagnol. Je suis journaliste depuis plus de 25 ans dans la presse professionnelle touristique, mais j'ai terminé ma carrière et le fruit de ce parcours, et je prends à témoin Franck Bostels, mon ami Franck Bostels, qui me connaît depuis très longtemps. J'ai travaillé pour l'Institut européen des itinéraires culturels du Conseil de l'Europe, qui n'est pas présent ici, ce qui est étonnant d'ailleurs. Et lors de cette mission qui m'a été confiée pour créer une communication entre l'institution du Conseil de l'Europe et l'industrie du tourisme, j'ai été mandaté pour créer le village du tourisme culturel sur le salon IFTM Topresa à Paris. Et nous avons fait 3 éditions du village du tourisme culturel, mais c'était en 2006, 2007, 2008. Et en 2009, ma conclusion m'a amené à considérer que tous les grands itinéraires touristiques à l'époque, maintenant je vois ici que ça a bougé, donc j'étais un peu trop en avance. En 2009, j'ai conçu l'idée de dire, bon, l'Institut européen travaille sur des itinéraires du passé. Vous connaissez la collection de cette institution. Et j'aurais dit, il faudrait créer aussi une route de l'avenir, une route tournée vers l'avenir. Et alors, la grande question, c'était quoi? Et je leur dis, ben voilà, je vous propose de créer les Via Electra, qui sont des itinéraires touristiques pour voitures électriques. Tout le monde m'a rigolé au nez parce qu'à l'époque, en 2009, les voitures électriques, c'était encore très expérimental. Aujourd'hui, après la crise sanitaire, les offices du tourisme, car j'ai pendant 25 ans cumulé un certain nombre de relations dans le monde du tourisme en Europe et dans le monde, la France a réagi immédiatement à ma proposition de créer une route conçue pour des voitures électriques. Et j'ai fait la première route sur la Bourgogne-Franche-Comté. Le principe de base de depuis lors, j'en ai fait une vingtaine. Maintenant, j'ai un catalogue, vous pouvez voir sur le site Via Electra, avec un K à Electra. Vous pouvez voir le principe de base étant que je mets en relais des hôtels qui disposent de bornes de rechargement pour leurs clients et qui sont réservables en regard d'une demi-pension. Ce qui fait qu'on peut concevoir des itinéraires sur mesure ou forfaitaires en allant dans n'importe quelle région d'Europe, simplement en utilisant ce principe de base. Moi, je suis invité ici, je ne sais par qui, je suis très honoré d'avoir été invité ici, et comme bon, il y a un espace de parole disponible, j'en profite pour expliquer que tout ce qui a été présenté ce matin colle parfaitement bien avec ce concept, et je cherche des partenaires pour développer ce concept qui a une envergure européenne. D'ailleurs, le site s'appelle viaelectra.eu. Et il y a des routes Via Electra en Allemagne, en Luxembourg, en Belgique, en France, en Suisse. Et toutes les institutions chargées de la promotion du tourisme ont immédiatement réagi favorablement et m'ont tous fait un accueil presse 5 étoiles. Et je suis soutenu par des marques de voitures allemandes, coup de publicité BMW, Audi, Mercedes, qui m'ont tous prêté des voitures pendant des 10 à 15 jours, ce qui est exceptionnel parce que une voiture de presse dans une marque, c'est 2-3 jours pour un essai. Là, on a carrément allongé, notamment pour la Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur. Enfin bref, ça rencontre une audience et le message est très bien perçu du côté de tous les organismes espagnols, italiens. Tout le monde est pour les Via Electra. Le problème, c'est de trouver des partenaires qui veulent distribuer, mettre en valeur ce produit qui est un peu d'avant-garde, il est vrai. Pour l'instant, c'est un produit de niche, comme on dit dans le tourisme, mais il y a un potentiel de développement et quand j'écoute les projets qui sont présentés ici, on est en plein dedans.
Merci bien, c'est vraiment très intéressant, monsieur. Vous m'avez inspiré beaucoup. D'abord, quand vous parlez des itinéraires culturels du Conseil de l'Europe, l'Institut, à l'époque, on a travaillé fortement avec le projet NAPOCTEP. Et maintenant, c'est un des itinéraires culturels européens. Pour ça, c'est très facile. Mais quand on parle de sustainability, de la sustainabilité, je crois que c'est très intéressant de faire le design, des routes culturelles via la voiture électrique. Et alors, je vois comme indirectement ça peut être très intéressant pour les hôteliers qui alors sont peut-être forcés d'installer des chargeurs électriques. Il y a pas mal de projets qu'on travaille dans ce domaine. C'est le projet Rest for City. C'est un projet Horizon Europe qui essaie de décarboniser les cités. Peut-être, bon. Mais on va parler. Votre organisation, c'est à la France ou...
Non, moi j'habite en Belgique.
Vous habitez en Belgique, ok. Alors, je crois qu'il faut que vous présentez votre idée à Futurisme, parce que c'est une idée très intéressante, oui. Et aussi, peut-être sera très intéressant si vous cherchez en région, la Wallonie, bien sûr la Wallonie, ou en ville, ou quelqu'un des domaines de tourisme, pour lui dire, écoute, on a besoin d'un public, une entité publique, public-privé, pour faire un consortia dans le domaine Interreg Northwest Europe, ou n'importe quoi, lequel, pour faire un projet, on va parler de ça. Okay?
Je crois qu'avec le soutien officiel de votre institution, à ce moment-là, il y a beaucoup de partenaires privés qui vont se sentir rassurés de voir que le concept via Electra est officiellement reconnu et qui vont alors s'engager. Parce que c'est un produit qui ne va pas rapporter de l'argent tout de suite. C'est un produit qui a besoin d'être maturé, mais avec un distributeur, avec des gens qui ont des réseaux d'agences de voyage, tour opérateurs et autres, agences de promotion, des réceptifs. Enfin bref, il me manque le côté développement commercial, mais j'ai des points, mais il y a une certaine peur. Depuis la crise sanitaire, l'industrie du tourisme est très traumatisée à l'idée de créer des nouveaux produits. Or, ils ont besoin de renouveler l'offre touristique de manière urgente, parce que ce n'est pas en vendant ce que l'on vendait avant la crise sanitaire que l'on va avancer. C'est en essayant de vendre les produits classiques, parce qu'il y a une demande évidemment, mais en plus, il faut qu'ils acceptent d'accorder un espace à de la créativité et à tous les projets qu'on présente ici, en disant voilà, on va faire un pôle de développement à moyen terme, et pas des choses immédiates qui rapportent du cash tout de suite.
Mais si vous me permettez, c'est vrai qu'il y a le secteur tourisme arrêté. C'est vrai qu'on a perdu beaucoup de talents parce qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui sont fortement mobilisés dans ce secteur. Mais en même temps, je viens maintenant de Lanzarote. Il y avait le dernier jeudi un forum très important dans le domaine du tourisme, Blue Tourisme. Et hier, je suis, le lundi et le mardi, je suis à las îles Gran Canaria. Vous ne pouvez pas imaginer le développement qu'il a fait dans le concept de l'électromobilité pour le tourisme. Et alors, ça veut dire le Cabildo de Gran Canaria, Cabildo Insular de Gran Canaria, il a fortement subventionné les taxis hybrides électriques, mais aussi tous les chargeurs dans les hôteliers. Et alors, bon, c'est vrai que las îles Canaries tourisme représente 35% de sa industrie, c'est beaucoup. Mais bon, je crois que maintenant c'est le moment d'essayer d'avoir de l'argent de l'Union européenne pour bien développer. Et dans le cadre d'Interreg, ici, vous pouvez aller jusqu'à 60% dans l'Interreg Northwest Europe, Northwest, mais dans des autres Interreg, vous pouvez arriver jusqu'à 75%. Alors, dans le cas, vous savez, des partenaires potentiels dans l'Italie, dans des autres pays, on peut planifier un projet. Mais on parlait. Mais merci bien, c'est très intéressant votre expérience et votre vue comme journaliste. Merci bien. Ok, je ne sais pas si no tenemos todavía la eurodiputada. No.
No, we still don't know it, so maybe we can leave a little minute for if there's any more question regarding this last talk, or even if you have also any other doubts about the acceleration program that we showcased earlier. I will just give you a minute before we continue, okay?
And coming back to your proposal, with pleasure. We would like a lot to work with you in the Interreg Atlantic. In fact, Finova has offices, formal offices in the Atlantic, one in Canary Islands, legally, and the other in Sevilla, that for the European Union is in Andalusia. But okay, why not? We are talking of a smart destination and digital flows, and why not to create an open innovation tool during the project to try to identify the best spin-off and the best ideas, because we are talking of artificial intelligence, we are talking of big data, how to from a governance point of view, how in Santander you manage when the cruise arrives, the cruise arrives, because you have to manage better. And it's a problem in every place. But okay, and also to offer some alternatives. In the city of Valencia, Visit Valencia, that is also, they are working a lot in trying to propose alternative designs through the mobile phone, to try not concentrating at the same time all the tourists in the same Ciudad de las Artes de las Ciencias or the center. And that's one of the big challenges, of course. Let's talk later. This is one of the purpose of this kind of seminars, that is also to promote networking ideas, to propose new funding projects. And all of them, we should try to work together. I would like to propose to the European Tourist Association and the other networks, why not to work together in that lobby you proposed before, explaining the European Commission. We should do a manifesto, explaining, look, we have been in the last 20 years dreaming in projects about circular economy and tourism, and we have done through life, and it has been very good, or even in the European Institute of Technology Culture. But I imagine that as the Commission has created the Creative Europe or Digital Europe, why not to create something about Tourist Europe? At the end of the day, the first this time in all over the world is France, the second is Spain. Europe is really important in terms of GDP and employment. Then why not to create that manifesto? Okay. Okay. Then if not, because we have to go ending. By internet there is no questions, I assume. Okay.
No, there are still no questions online, Juanma.
Can we share the PowerPoint? Very briefly. We have. Okay. No problem.
Maybe if I can, one small question, because this is all about the accelerator project, about the scaling up. That was quickly, when is that going to be communicated?
It will be in 2025. If I'm not wrong, it will be around March, but perhaps there will be a little change. First, we have to be concentrate in that 60 first small and medium enterprises, 20,000. For the scale-up call, we have to identify 42 ideas, 42 companies, and we are going also to launch a call for an alliance. What does it mean? In the website, not now. Now we want to focus in what we have launched, and I would like to remind that the deadline will be on the last day in January, the 31st, I think. But we need you. We need partners that are in the field of the tourism industry to help us to disseminate. I was explaining Emiliano that I would like a lot to have some companies with nice solutions for accessibility, with innovation, because one of the best examples that will be, I think I have convinced them to submit their proposal. They are from the island of Fuerteventura, and it's a really accessible hotel. What is not the case in every place. And when you see, I have like a lot your slide talking about human rights, social dimension, but business. At the end of the day, what's the figure? More or less 40 million people. I remember one report about people.
Yeah, I can say 16% world population, around 20% in Europe, I would say. But this is people, we are talking about people with disabilities, but we talk about accessibility, we have more. Families, yes, people with disabilities generally tend to travel with at least two persons. And in fact, for example, in our friends in the UK who are very good in measuring things, a lot more than we do actually in Europe, and they have they have this purple pound thing, which is the capacity of spending of families with people with access needs within, because that's the way you measure things. Because when you lose travel, you lose an holiday of a person with disabilities, is basically losing an holiday of a family. So yeah, that's it.
That means it has an important social dimension, but an important business dimension. We have some pilot projects. Anyway, we have now connected Mrs. Elena Nevado del Campo. Buenas tardes. Gracias por estar conectada. She is member of the Committee on Transport and Tourism, and she is also the Vice President of the Delegation for the Euro-Latin American Parliamentary Assembly. There are also interpretation. And then you can talk in Spanish or in the language you want. You have disappeared, Elena, and you are in silent now. Please connect. She was there. I think you are there. Creo que estás, Elena, ahí. Si pudieras conectar. Ahora ya te vemos. Y tienes ahí un micrófono que habría que conectar. Sí, nos sale... El micrófono tendrías en tu ordenador que conectar. ¿Nos escuchas? Do you listen to us? Micro. Sí. One second. Esto es los temas del directo. Sí. Sí. ¿Nos oye? ¿Nos oye? No. ¿Nos oye? No. Yo creo que es un tema de su micrófono, que aquí sale desconectado. Sí. Bueno, pues nada, then in the meantime, it's always complicated. Okay, she's the member, eh? She was supposed to be here today, but sometimes technicalities does not allow us to. Okay. Now, creo que ahora estás ya, porque el micrófono te sale conectado. Elena, ¿me escuchas? ¿Me escuchas? No. Ahora lo has desconectado. Hay que conectar. Creo que no escucha. No escuchan. No debe tener el... Sí, sí. Vamos a hacerlo en vivo y en directo. Sí. Si no, que hable por el móvil y pongo aquí el altavoz.
Es que es su asistente, no es ella.
Pero ella está con la...
No está con ella, ¿verdad? Hay un compañero.
Ya. Bueno, si no, pues... Sí, es que si no, le pongo su llamada aquí al micrófono y lo escuchamos. The importance of innovation, everyone. And the technical barriers. Okay, at the end of the day, tourism is not for me is not just a vertical but as an horizontal, because when you are talking of grey water, how to reuse the water, or textile, or you are talking of digitalization or artificial intelligence or energy. Imagine energy efficiency. Last week they told me that a hotel spend the second most important bill is energy in Canary Islands, and a hotel pays around 40,000 yearly just for the organic waste management. If that organic waste management goes to a small digester inside the hotel, in the parking, and that biogas help to reduce the cost of energy, that's super. And that's existing. And what we have to understand is that that some big operators, as TUI, they propose first the hotels that have sustainability impact. In fact, in Balearic Islands, as an example, it was the big operators who finance all the energy efficiency in the hotels, in exchange of future rooms, for example. ¿Sí? Lo intentamos. Sí, aquí. Buenas. ¿Qué tal? ¿Nos escuchas, Elena?
Hola. Sí, perfectamente.
Ok. Bueno, pues nada, estábamos esperando aquí ansiosos tu palabra inspiracional.
Bueno, primero pediros disculpas de verdad encarecidamente porque he intentado conectarme y ya sabéis que las tecnologías a veces nos juegan estas malas pasadas. Habrá que mejorar, ahora que hablamos también de innovación tecnológica en el ámbito del turismo, para que estas cosas no sucedan. Daros las gracias por invitarme a participar en este foro que me parece importantísimo. Y lo que quería trasladarles como miembro de la Comisión de Transporte y Turismo es que tenemos estos días, como también conocerán, los hearings de los comisarios, y uno de los comisarios que sí que ha pasado su hearing ha sido el comisario de Turismo y Transporte, y que a preguntas de los eurodiputados él ha señalado que da la misma importancia a una competencia que a la otra, y que especialmente él va a estar muy implicado con el sector del turismo. El turismo cultural en particular, que es el que más me ocupa a mí, porque mi tierra es cultura, yo creo que representa una parte muy significativa del sector turístico europeo y por lo tanto nosotros vamos a proteger que prospere de manera sostenible y es esencial implementar prácticas que nos ayuden a poner en valor a través también de la innovación un sector que da de comer a tantos y tantos europeos. Pero sobre todo a mí me gustaría hablar de lo importante que son los programas estructurales y los fondos europeos en el turismo de nuestros países y de nuestras comunidades autónomas, en caso como la de España, que nosotros hemos enfocado pues la oportunidad que tenemos en el desarrollo de las infraestructuras verdes, en la preservación del patrimonio, la capacitación y la educación, la promoción de prácticas sostenibles, pero que sobre todo para fomentar el crecimiento del turismo cultural es fundamental que esos fondos europeos pues se destinen precisamente a la innovación, a la digitalización, que tiene que jugar un papel crucial. Soy miembro titular de la Comisión de Desarrollo Regional en el Parlamento y nosotros vamos a luchar para que estos fondos sigan comprometidos con ese compromiso comunitario e inclusivo, que sigan comprometidos con el turismo de manera equilibrada, también con la accesibilidad. Para señalar, y voy terminando porque sé que me han esperado demasiado tiempo, quería destacar la importancia que ha tenido para una región como la mía, Extremadura, los 19 planes de sostenibilidad turística en destino. Han sido casi 80 millones de euros los que se han repartido por todo el territorio extremeño, han beneficiado a más de 300 municipios y a una población de 898.332 habitantes. Estos 19 proyectos quieren poner en valor la innovación como destino de experiencia y también quería contarles que especialmente tenemos un plan de sostenibilidad turística porque Cáceres, mi ciudad, aspira a ser capital europea de la cultura y del turismo verde urbano en el año 2025. Por lo tanto, también les pido su ayuda para conseguir este objetivo y que promover la digitalización en los recursos culturales es esencial. Europa debe seguir apostando por ser el primer destino turístico del mundo, apostar juntos por la innovación y el emprendimiento turístico es hacer más Europa. Muchas gracias.
Pues muchísimas gracias, Elena. Yo como dos mensajes, uno respecto a la Capital Europea de la Cultura 2025, vamos a trabajar a vuestra disposición para el programa Interreg Portugal-España que sería yo creo que muy oportuno y también la herramienta Creative Europe que yo creo que podría ser de mucho interés para aterrizarlo.
Por supuesto.
Y luego también decirte, y iremos contigo, porque nos interesa mucho la dimensión latinoamericana, también en el campo del turismo y de cultura. Pero eso será otro día. And now I'm going
no me he querido extender mucho porque contaba con poco tiempo, pero os agradezco mucho este ofrecimiento que nos estáis haciendo.
Pues muchísimas gracias, Elena. And if I may... contamos contigo también para hacer lobby desde el Parlamento Europeo. Tenemos aquí a los representantes de Mr. Frank Bostels de la Belgian Travel Confederation. Tenemos a Tim Feithhurst, General Director of European Tourist Association. Tenemos a Emiliano De Ferrari, que es el Executive Board Member of European Network for Accessibility, y otros que nos están siguiendo. Esta mañana estábamos hablando, después del hearing en turismo, de esta buena noticia, que por fin haya un comisario que se llame Transporte Sostenible y Turismo. Hay que hacer lobby.
Efectivamente.
Y el Parlamento Europeo es el mejor sitio para hacer lobby para esa próxima herramienta que será Tourist Europe, o como lo quieran llamar, que tenga una herramienta específica para el turismo. seguiremos en contacto. And ahora paso al inglés. What I will do also is to link you with Elena, with the different representatives of networks of tourists, because why not to think in a manifesto to explain the importance of a better, digital, innovative and sustainable tourism. Muchísimas gracias y has clausurado, Elena. Muchas gracias.
Pues muchas gracias. Todos somos importantes, todos somos necesarios.
Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.